It's Kate.
And Oliver Hudson. Host of the new podcast, Sibling
Revelry.
That's right.
We started this show because, you know what? No one talks about siblings and that dynamic.
The siblings, they know each other better than anybody.
Yes.
You know.
Listen to Sibling Revelry on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, I'm Frances Fry.
And I'm Ann Morris.
And we are the hosts of a new TED podcast called Fixable.
We've helped leaders at some of the world's most competitive companies solve all kinds of problems.
On our show, we'll pull back the curtain and give you the type of honest, unfiltered advice we usually reserve for top executives. Give us a call and we'll help you solve the problems you're stuck on. Listen to Fixable on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Episode 258, Best Tips to Save on Your Wedding or Elopement.
Welcome to the Frugal Friends podcast, where you'll learn to save money, embrace simplicity, and live a richer life. Here are your hosts, Jen and Jill.
Welcome to Frugal Friends podcast. My name is Jen.
My name is Jill.
And today we are doing a much requested episode, which is a follow-up and update to one of the first episodes we ever did, like two of the first episodes we ever did. Do you remember all the way back?
It was episode 4, because I know this because my mom was literally talking with me about this yesterday. One of her daughter's friends is getting married, and she's like, so I went back in your archives and it was episode 4. She's like, you guys have improved since then. There's still some good tips. And she's like, but maybe you should update a wedding episode. And then here we are.
Well, she was half right. It's episode 6.
Oh,
yes.
So close.
Yes. So that was the first episode. Episode 6, we did a part 1 of how to save money on a wedding. And then episode 49, we did how to save money on weddings, part 2, reception and honeymoon. And there are some good tips, and we still think they are valid episodes to listen to. We think the wedding landscape has changed since 2018, 2019. And so we want to highlight some of those changes and how you can save money in this new landscape of weddings.
And you know what? This also highlights, Jen, it's reminding me, there was a time when you said, I will never do another wedding episode. This is it. We did part 1 and we did part 2. And there's a running joke with Jen that anytime she says she's never going to do something, it definitely means she will. Because
it's
like a secret charm.
Over 200 episodes for us to get to another wedding episode. So
it may take a really long time, but it's never.
Yeah, it's never. It almost is a guarantee that I will. So it's, who could have saw 2020 happening in 2021? Nobody could have seen it coming. And some of our pre-2020 episodes need updates.
Yeah. Well, you're not disappointing me. But speaking of disappointments, that's who our show is brought to us by today. Disappointments. Not that we need a reminder about them. Disappointments happen regularly. But this sponsor has a special message today in partnership with our wedding episode, highlighting the fact that no matter how you approach your wedding, there will be disappointed people. And honestly, you might be one of them, even the one getting married.
It's probably going to be your mom.
Or your aunt or your grandmom or somebody. There's no pleasing everyone, so tie the knot your way. That's my advice. Speaking of disappointments, hopefully you won't be disappointed to know that we have a Patreon, a special place where you can get more from us, including a monthly bonus episode and other fun things. Of course, we know we have disappointed some people with this offering, but if that's not you and you are interested in this, head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/Patreon. We'd love to see you there.
Yeah. If you like the show and you want to support us and get some goodies, come on over. We're there.
The water's warm.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk weddings. This is definitely a major one that does get requested. And it was requested enough that I went against my no more weddings rule. And we're talking about weddings again. But we're also talking about elopements, and we're talking about these new micro wedding trends that I think are very cool. And there's just a lot, I mean, people, I guess, I don't want to say they're less crazy about weddings than they were, but I feel like maybe they are, but that's probably also because I'm getting older. I don't know. Jill, you go to more weddings than I do.
I'm just shaking my head over here. I feel like the pandemic did us a solid, not in many ways, but in this way, that I think it really did give permission for people to get creative with it. We've seen some really cool stuff out of weddings and the way people are reimagining that. But then I think there's this other flip side where it has sparked the people who needed to wait for forever to have like the wedding that they wanted. And now it's like, we waited 2 years for this. And so forget about retirement. We're going all out. Mm-hmm. And also something that has happened in the last decade that is definitely has not died off and is still alive and well, or becoming more and more alive and well, is the whole weekend getaway, bachelor, bachelorette. That was not a thing when I got married. And I am very grateful it wasn't, honestly, because that's a whole added cost.
That's where I've seen stuff shift. And it's so funny because when this comes out, we'll actually be going to a wedding like in 4 days. So this is hilarious. And I can't remember the last time we went to a wedding, but I think it's for the worse. It's not for a better. It's not an improvement, but a lot of costs have shifted to friends because these bridal, like bachelorette and bachelor parties have gotten much more intense. They've gotten like, we're taking international trips now.
I know.
And so that is,
and it's like, and it's a once in a lifetime. So it puts this pressure on, like, I can't say no to anything because hopefully you only get married once. It's not like a birthday that happens every year.
Yeah. So, but we're not talking about bachelorette parties in this episode. But
if you're getting married,
please
cost.
Consider that. That it's not everybody's once in a lifetime. It's your once in a lifetime. They will go to like 20 bachelorette parties. So keep that in mind as you plan yours. But we're talking first about elopements versus wedding costs. And we're getting really broad in how we talk about elopements now. We'll talk more about like the micro wedding in the next article, but definitely did want to break down the difference in these because so when I got married, I was like, I'm never going to elope. I can't. I have too many friends. I just want a big party. There is a way that you could still have that party without the going crazy. And one of those ways is through an elopement. So what did you think about this one, Jill? It's been a long time since you got married.
It has been a long time.
You old.
But thanks, Jen. We're the same age though. So you with me. You right there with me.
You were married a whole 3 years before me.
So I love this article. I think it's helpful to see the differences. Now, I don't think that our approach here is to say everyone should elope, but just to kind of highlight the differences, maybe get the wheels turning on, oh, that's interesting. Maybe that could be an area of savings for me, or maybe there's some sort of radical middle combination that I could do here. I think what I would love to drive home in this episode is that you can get married and have it be affordable for you. I know that that's going to be different for everybody. I don't think you have to sacrifice everything, but I also don't think you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars just to get married. And I think that this article highlights that. And I did find it interesting to look at the comparisons of various types of weddings, right? An elopement is a type of wedding marriage ceremony versus your maybe massive traditional wedding, and kind of where the the additional costs come in and what that could mean for cutting costs. I found it so very interesting. What they cite at the very beginning here is, according to brides.com, the average cost of a wedding was $44,000 in 2018. I got to imagine it's even higher now for people going traditional wedding, with inflation and everything, which is just massive. And then they say with the state of Oregon being slightly less at about 28,000. And of course, the author, the writer of this article is from Oregon.
Yeah.
So, her little plug to say Oregon's better when it comes to average wedding costs. But $44,000 is astronomical to me. That's more than my student loans coming out of undergrad. Like, you're talking about taking out student loan debts if you're looking at that type of wedding cost. So it makes sense that so many people are asking this question about, how do I save on a wedding? Because goodness, we shouldn't have to spend $44,000.
Absolutely. And I don't think a lot of our listeners are planning to do that. But if you consider yourself a little below average in how much you want to spend for your wedding, budgets for these things always get higher than what you plan. So you have to go even lower than what you want to spend to get to around where you will be, where you want to be. And it's just good to look outside of your comfort zone to get creative ideas. Take a little from one, leave what you don't like, take what saves you money, and then splurge in the parts where you really feel convicted about. So, let's look at the first cost that they're comparing in the elope versus wedding debate, fight, sword fight. Yes. Okay. Here we go. Photography and videography. And this is from a photographer and videography company. So let's take this one with a grain of salt. She says that they're all the same. You will pay the same amount whether you are doing a wedding or an elopement, which we know to be untrue. Having lots of photography and videography friends, if you want to do something that is during the week, then you can save. If you are taking a photographer on a journey into the desert and got to get them a hotel or something, you are going to pay the same or more for photography and videography. So, but if you want to do something on a weekday, maybe in the afternoon, like before this person has to pick up their kid from school or before they have to make dinner, that is going to be a lower cost than a Saturday where they can charge a premium. So it's not across the board, but it can be. If you are looking to get a very high quality photographer or videographer, just ask, are there any days or times that you would do a discounted rate? And that could be an option. And you will also have them for less time too than a normal wedding would cost, because elopements are just typically shorter.
Mm-hmm. The next comparison is related to florals. I know a lot of people can spend a lot of money on flowers, from centerpieces to the bride's bouquet to bridesmaids to boutonnieres to the archway, you name it. There's a ton of floral costs. And of course, this is going to vary depending on what type of wedding day you choose. But certainly for your more traditional wedding where you've got all of those things, you're looking at upwards of $1,200 versus if you're eloping and you just want a bouquet and maybe a few flowers for the background of the ceremony, you're looking at more like $170, $200. So that's quite a significant difference.
Yeah, definitely. And you can compromise. So maybe you do more things like thrifted things or things from upcycled from your house as decor, and you do more limited florals if you want to have the bigger wedding, but you want to save some money on that stuff. Or maybe you do no florals. Maybe you just do a bouquet. So this is something where you can still have a larger wedding and you don't have to buy all the flowers that normally come with a wedding. You could just do just a bouquet and then maybe some bridesmaids bouquets if you wanted to. So that's also an alternative. Next is the venue. And this makes a huge difference. And you really can't, like, this is something you can't, if you have a big wedding, you can't save with the small venue. You're going to pay for the big venue. And this is a big place where people sink a lot of their money. This is, I would say, where most money for the actual ceremony is sunk. If you do the same place for the reception, it would be that too. But yeah, venue, you'll pay, this is about $5,000 for wedding venue. I haven't heard of anyone lately getting out with a venue for less than $10,000. If you also take into consideration all of the minimums, all the things they make you add to use the venue. So between 5 and 10, whereas an elopement, they put venue in quotations, is typically about $205. So you have to pay for maybe a permit. They say a permit from Yosemite is about $150, $250 for Rocky Mountain National Park. So that's, or maybe a parking pass for $5. So you really can, if you don't have setup and you don't have things that really need to be set up, like you do at a venue, you can get away with a lot with a small venue.
Well, and I think, you know, what the writer is acknowledging and kind of pointing towards is that usually with an elopement, you'll utilize nature, the great outdoors, as your venue. So if you need to get a permit, sure. But I'm sure that if we're not living in Portland, Oregon, then maybe we're just going to a park or really anywhere. But another thing that's interesting about whether it's a micro wedding or an elopement is that I think weather can be less of a concern. Like you're not as worried about how is this going to impact all of my guests and parking and bathrooms and a tent versus, you know, I was prepared for like in case of rain, I didn't really mind if I would have needed, I really wanted an outdoor wedding. That didn't end up happening for me. Ended up being a beautiful day, but there was that thought like, oh, but you're going to have the backup plan and that's going to cost money versus you could have an outdoor wedding and just bring an umbrella if it's just the two of you or 10, 15 people. I think you worry less about weather, which is like another kind of side peripheral thing with venue, which also impacts cost.
Absolutely. That's a great point too.
Then of course, you know, DJ, this has to do with venue and reception and all of that. I mean, if you're eloping and you want to dance, you can just bring a Bluetooth speaker and play the songs you want to play versus if you are doing a traditional wedding, most likely you're going to at least be hiring a DJ, if not a live band. You know, people do that for cocktail hour and all sorts of things. So you can really rack up the cost. It's so interesting, the prices that are listed in here. A wedding DJ for $1,200. Again, I think they're far more than that. I think you're talking at least $3,000 now for a DJ.
Honestly, this is a place where you can save even if you have a larger wedding. If you can rent out like a really good sound system and just have a really good continuous, I don't know if I'd use Spotify. I might try and find an app that is specifically for like music being played at parties where the downtime is less. It maybe is like a curated, it's one playlist with many, it's almost one song with many songs in it versus just playing like songs with abrupt ends and stuff. So you can find that. I mean, they have that for our gym. Like the gym has that app for music.
Eric and I used to be DJs, so I can affirm that there are apps that you can plug in your playlist and you can have the one song start over top of the other song so that there's never that like awkward lapse that I think is pretty much the point of having a DJ. I mean, there's more to it than just that, but if you're not that concerned, you just want a good playlist, this is something you can do ahead of time. Throw throw all your songs into the app, have them set up so that the one just plays exactly after the other. You can curate it for which songs you want to come next. You know, you're going to want like 2 hours for cocktail hour and dinner, and then 2 or 3 hours of dancing. So even when you go traditional wedding route, like you're saying, Jen, rent wedding equipment, some of this stuff can be, or sound equipment, and some of this stuff can be DIY'd.
Yeah. And then for the announcing, here's the thing. Everyone's going to have a friend that's going to want to bring a plus one, and you're like, you'll never stay with this person. Please don't bring them. Or you just met this person. Why should I have to pay for their dinner? Here's the thing. You find that person and you pay them to announce the wedding. They shouldn't be there.
You went from why are you here to let me entrust you with announcing.
Yeah, they shouldn't be there, but they're going to be there regardless. So you better give them a job.
I think I'd rather like have them serve the guests the cake than give them the microphone, but you do you, Jen.
Okay, obviously they have to be qualified. If they are unqualified, then you get them to serve the cake. But you can also ask a friend who loves to do this stuff if they will just do it. But you also don't want to take advantage of people who are invited to your wedding as guests. But but if you're going to take advantage of someone, that's who you take advantage of. It's the person that shouldn't be there. It's the plus one. Yeah.
I mean, I am all about friends chipping in, chiming in, giving of their skill set. Like, I think that's a great alternative to a gift and something I would encourage people to ask of their friends. Like, can you do the centerpieces? Can you do the music? Even if they're not a DJ, but like, can you cue it all up? Can you do the flowers? Did I say that already? Like, give everybody a job, and then that's their wedding gift.
Yeah. It can be, as we get older, it becomes harder to ask people to do things. So, yeah, maybe find somebody who doesn't do a lot and ask them to do something. That could also be the person that you ask to do. Everybody's got one of those family members as well. So think about it. Think about it.
Yeah, it's hard to ask people to do that, but at the same time, they are going to be coming to your wedding and giving you money. There's essentially like the ask for that. If you're doing a wedding, that's essentially what you're asking for. So instead of that, hey, would you mind doing XYZ instead? People want to help.
Oh, and what a great idea if you don't want to give somebody like money or a gift, to be like, hey, what can I help with at your wedding? I don't have the budget for a gift, but I would love to do something. Don't ask them the day before the wedding. Ask them like months before so they don't hire somebody to do that. Yeah. What can I do for you at your wedding to save you money?
Yeah.
Deal. That's a great gift.
And then finally, and of course, on my end, just the food. And this is the most important, in my opinion. Catering, food, alcohol, cake. Of course, this is going to be far less expensive if you're eloping or doing a smaller wedding. It's the cost of you eating whatever it is that you want to eat versus feeding everybody else. They're estimating wedding catering being about $5,000. Again, this is going to depend on how many people you have, but it could be even more than that, depending on what kind of food you're serving. So between venue and food, I think those are going to be your biggest expenses for a traditional wedding. And similar to how we approach every other aspect of life, you're going to want to look at the heavy hitters if you're really trying to save or not spend a ton of money or cut costs on a wedding. Those are going to be the areas that you want to look at. How can I get this? Get a version of what I want for the least amount of money as possible, or whatever your budget is that you want to be getting married with, not to go into debt for this.
Yeah. I mean, you can get a great cake at Publix. I'm just saying, for $30. Yeah. Definitely don't send Jill to get the cake. But you can get a great cake.
She's still mad.
Yeah, I'll forever be. Cake. Don't send Jill to get the dessert.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a mistake. And ultimately you just have to be upset at yourself about it. I'm talking to me.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
But I also ordered the churros. You didn't really want me to do that, but the churros were decent.
Those were decent. Yeah, those were pretty decent. All right, next on the list is day of coordination. And I didn't realize how much I would need this at our wedding until we had it. This is the +1, and this is how I know this was my +1, who was aptly qualified, but she would not have been invited to my wedding. She was a +1, and she wanted to start her day of coordination like business. Obviously, probably not at that place in our lives anymore, in our early 20s. But if you are, and if you have a friend who's maybe starting to start some kind of project management business, this is a great little feather in their cap. But I paid her like $150, and that was so nice. So nice to have.
Yeah. Well, and it was kind to her too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Day of coordination, I would say this is important, especially for your typical wedding. You don't realize how much needs to come together on the final day. And if you don't have a point person, the bride will be the one.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want that.
Nope.
You do not want that. I'm assuming I'm talking to the bride right now that you're listening to me. You do not want to be the point person day of your wedding.
Nope. Yeah, you can get away with spending less than the $1,200 that it says by just having one at the reception. Or our friend Jess, Jill, you were the coordinator, for that wedding. Just having a friend who is skilled, do it, but don't skip it. Unless you're having an elopement, in which case you can skip it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Save that money.
And I doubled as the MC for the night too. So the coordinator could also be the MC. I mean, just figure out all the ways to hack it. I get it if you want your friends and family to be there. Like, elopements are really awesome. People are doing them in amazing ways. But at the end of the day, it's going to be for some people and it's not going to be for others. So it is worth moving into the next article where we talk about how to do just smaller weddings.
Yeah, but
More
it's also worth noting
weddings.
that the total for the wedding the conservative wedding that they laid out versus the elopement is almost $28,000 for the wedding, and it's just over $10,000 for the elopement. So that's like night and day difference.
It still is crazy to me, though, the $10,000 for an elopement. I think it could be far less than that. I think I spent $10,000 on my wedding with 300 people. So, but that was
same. That's about what we spent.
As you'd like to remind me.
Yeah, but it was a different time then.
It
but
was.
we used a lot of the same tips we just gave to people. So that's how we save that money.
AI might be the most important new computer technology ever. It's storming every industry, and literally billions of dollars are being invested. So, buckle up. The problem is that AI needs a lot of speed and processing power. So, how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? It's time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. OCI has 4 to 8 times the bandwidth of other clouds, offers one consistent price instead of variable regional pricing. And of course, nobody does data better than Oracle. So now you can train your AI models at twice the speed and less than half the cost of other clouds. If you want to do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic, take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/strategic. That's oracle.com/strategic. Oracle.com/strategic.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full blood siblings, the only full blood sibling
in our family. Well, not in the world. I mean,
no, in the whole world. That's just it. Like no one.
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
And moving on to our, what has been a thing, but really got popular during 2020 and 2021 is micro weddings. 6 ways a micro wedding will save you money. And this is like a hybrid between an elopement and a full wedding. And I kind of love it. How do you feel about it, Jill?
Oh, I think it's so great. It really whittles things down. It makes it simple. It makes it affordable. I think it can help you keep sights on what's important for that day. I think it's an especially excellent idea for people who really want a beautiful, highly curated wedding day and experience and kind of want all of the things, but don't want to pay the ticket price for all of the things. Then having a really small wedding is great. At the end of the day, I will say, I personally loved having a massive wedding because it was really important to me that all of my people, every single one of them could be there, but I sacrificed on the other side of it. Like it wasn't your most high-end experience. It didn't have all of the pomp and circumstance. So I think this is where you just have to weigh out what's most important to me. Is it that everyone's able to be there, or is it that it's just a really remarkable, memorable, meaningful day with like my closest of close people? Either one is great. You're just going to have to recognize what the give and take is going to be when you're able to kind of identify the core items that are most important to you.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I wanted a big wedding. I wanted everyone there that I loved, and definitely sacrificed on other things. It was an all outdoor wedding. The food was made by the best man, and 2 people were supposed to be in charge of heating it up. He's a chef, and he had like made it the previous day. It was just like pasta sauce. It was just spaghetti. And the 2 people my mom hired to heat it up pretty much failed. So the food was kind of cold. There was just a keg of beer that was serve yourself. And yeah, it was real. It was all, my in-laws own a winery, but they were just getting started. So it was all wine that they were just testing out. It wasn't the best iteration of what they can do now. So it was really like, it wasn't the best, but we had fun. Like we danced.
And I love that. And see, I love that. Just take the air out of the room of all the pretension, which I think both ways can have that. A smaller wedding can take out pretension. A big wedding without all the frills and thrills. Yeah, just have fun. Enjoy the day. Oh,
yeah.
How fun.
There are definitely a few things that I wish I could change. Mostly the hot food. I did love the serve yourself beer. That was fun. But
be careful with that.
Right. There was no hard liquor. But I think what 2020 and 2021 have done for us have made it acceptable to do a micro wedding. Because before it was, you're either inviting everyone because your mom says so, or you're inviting no one so nobody gets offended that you invited him, not her. And so we now have a lot of excuses to why now we can choose smaller gatherings. It's not like an offensive thing anymore. So that is a huge positive. And that's the first thing on this list, 6 ways a micro wedding can save you money, is that smaller guest lists just simply cost less. And you can offend fewer people today. And I feel like we may be moving backwards I don't know, maybe 6 months ago, I was more confident in saying that. But I think we are creating just like a foundation of boundaries in this field. So I think some of it will go back to, moms forcing you to invite Aunt Edna. You can't not invite Aunt Edna, even though you haven't seen her in 20 years because she'd get offended. I think that's going away. Honestly.
I think we are moving at least away from the binary, and there's more of a third, fourth, fifth option here with weddings, so they describe micro weddings as usually it's a maximum of 50 guests is what we're talking about when we say micro wedding. It's not going to be a ton of people, and 50 guests when 2 people are getting married, that is enough for your close friends and family. That's going to be 50 guests. But I've also seen it where people might have their more intimate micro wedding, 40 to 50 guests, and then a few months down the road, do a larger but less formal reception, more of a potluck style, and kind of get the best of both worlds. There's so many more options that I'm seeing arise, and it's giving space and freedom to be creative, to do it your way. But along those lines, you can certainly save money on a lower priced venue when you are having less people. You just don't have to pay for the space to be able to have as many people. You don't have to have all those lights on, all that heating and cooling, you name it. So you're talking your backyard weddings. This could be a beach wedding, could be someone's garden. It could even be like someone with a large living room could be a micro wedding. And so depending on, if you've only got 40 or 50 guests, you can really choose almost anything, even a restaurant, renting out a room in a restaurant you could do. And that is going to significantly cut the cost from a place that needs to hold 150 to 250 people.
Yeah, definitely. I like all of these. And you kind of covered the lower priced venue option. The next one on here is fewer decorations. So you can go more with what you really love if you're buying fewer of them. So, and that's just fewer decorations means you save money. But you can also get better quality, maybe more sustainable. So the options really open up to you when you're choosing 50 people or less.
And I think that can connect to whatever venue you choose. You can kind of hit 2 things all at once if you're able to identify a place that you find beautiful so that you don't have to add a ton of stuff to it in order to make it look nice. This, of course, could be an outdoor wedding if you have a park that's your favorite. We've had a couple of weddings at the park at the end of our road recently. And it was just a reminder to me of, that is a beautiful park. And all they had to do was just show up and get married. They didn't have to decorate it a ton. Of course, you're at the whim of Mother Nature. But I think you also don't have to spend a lot on decor if you're getting married in a spot that you just think is good as is.
Yeah, that was our thing is we chose the shuffleboard courts from the city. It's owned by the city, so it's a lower cost, and it also has all this vintage charm being from the 20s. So we decorated it not at all. We just let all of the vintage charm.
Venue. I love that as a wedding venue. Yeah. So be creative too. Even if you are going for a bit larger of a ceremony, 150 to 200 people, there still could be options. I know we recently made friends with someone in our area who there's a community dance hall that they're renting out. And I think it's $150 to rent out this dance hall for the night. And it has all the tables and chairs. So it's just there still could be options. It might not be, the most beautiful spot, but shop around. Shuffleboard courts. Who would have thought?
Who would have?
Number 4 on here, obviously the smaller the wedding, the less food you're paying for. And that could even make way for you to have some nicer menu items when you're feeding less people. But at the end of the day, you're just purchasing less food to feed less people, and you can go more minimal in that regard too, which is going to save a ton of money.
And will inevitably lead to less food waste, because large catering orders always produce some kind of food waste. And you're just one frugal person. You may not be able to take all the leftovers, though we may try. You know, we try.
Have you ever taken a to go?
Oh my gosh,
box
yes.
From a wedding?
Always. Jillian, I'm almost offended that you haven't.
What did you bring your own Tupperware? Please tell me you didn't bring your own plastic.
No, they'll have them. I've never brought my own, though. That's a good idea.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
I'm getting older. I'm carrying less. Yup. Gonna bring my own glass container.
I might do that. I might do that at the wedding this weekend. We'll see.
Oh, I'd love to watch that happen. But I'd also cringe. I'd also be cringing the whole time.
No, but there is so much. Anybody who's worked in catering knows the larger the order, the more the food waste. And the employees more or less more and more are being forced to just get rid of it. Some can take it home. So you always want to ask the caterer, hey, with the food that's not used, because the bride and groom are not taking it. They're absolutely not taking it. They wish they could.
It's true.
They can't. They're going on their honeymoon. So you say hey, are you able to take this food home? I remember for Jess's wedding, we divvied up even the rehearsal dinner food. So that's another thing. The parents of the bride and groom and the bridal party, they may have already taken leftovers from the rehearsal dinner, so they may not want to take home those things either. So just check with someone to make sure that food has a home and that home's not in the trash can.
I always take the centerpieces. That's my shtick. Anyone want these flowers? Good, I'll take them.
Yeah, I'm always taking
Alternatively, because I'm loving to give also the tips for the people who are I just want a traditional wedding. Okay, we see you. You're good. With the food thing, consider an all vegetarian menu. People are going to be fine for one day if all they get is pasta and salad. Your meats obviously are going to be what's going to cost you a ton of money. Or depending on time of day you get married, you could do a brunch instead, which is going to cost a lot less. You could do a charcuterie. You could even do, I know a ton of people, it blew my mind when I heard this, all they did was dessert. They got married later in the day and they had a dessert reception. You can do what, if this is you need to hear this message. You can do whatever you want to do. It is your wedding. You can choose what's going to make the most sense for you, that aligns with your values, that's within your budget. You can get creative. You could do what you want to do.
But I will say, have you ever been to a dessert wedding, Jill?
I believe I have.
It's a little much. If you're just there for an hour and you're only having dessert, cool. But if you're there for a ceremony and then a full reception and all you have at the reception is dessert, it's too much dessert. You need actual food. So dessert elopement, high five, full on. If you're doing a micro wedding or a wedding, then at least some kind of tapas or hors d'oeuvres sort of thing. If you don't want to do a full meal, definitely have some savory option for people who are like Jill and can't.
I guess I'm
eat
thinking
a lot of dessert.
I am thinking of your people who might just have a shorter reception, which I know plenty of people who that's the case. I don't want to dance. It's not our thing. Why do we have to do that? Let's just hang out with people for an hour and get out of there.
I'm so sad you're friends with those people.
Later, 8, you have a 7 or 8 p.m. ceremony. That'd be fun. Wow. And then you just have dessert together. Dessert nightcaps.
Okay, yes. We're there.
Yeah.
So next.
Number 5, fewer rentals.
Fewer rentals. So rentals are a way you can save money on a bigger renting. Instead of renting out a DJ, you rent out the sound system and get the app. Technology is a wonderful thing. But in general, in addition to saving money by renting items versus services, you can also save money by just like needing fewer rentals in general, a smaller sound system, fewer tables, fewer chairs, fewer linens, smaller sizes, stuff like that. So that is another way a micro wedding can be saving you money. And you just tell mom, like, we can't have Aunt Edna there. It's more, it's another chair, it's another table, it's more linens, it's a bigger sound system, it's more all of these things. And you just list everything out and you tell her and you stand your ground and you decide the things that you will compromise on and the things you will not.
Although, keep in mind, if Aunt Edna's not there, Aunt Edna's probably not going to give you a gift. So make sure you're thinking wisely about whether or not Aunt Edna's independently wealthy.
Be strategic.
Who you want to be burning bridges with.
Yeah.
My throwdown with my mom was over the veil. I will not wear a veil. I don't know what it is about moms and their veils.
Oh my gosh. Did you cave?
No,
you wouldn't.
I caved. My mom would be more happy with you. She's probably listening right now saying, good girl, Jen. I wish my daughter were more like you.
No, my mom holds a lot of things over my head. There are a lot of things I said no to. The veil was just like that last thing where I was like, woman,
yeah,
I'll wear your stupid veil. If you just shut up about these 20 other things.
Trip down the aisle because I can't see anything.
Yeah. We were still talking about that veil when I had a baby shower 4 years later.
Oh, stop it. Oh my gosh. I can't even.
So
obviously this is why we don't do many wedding episodes. It all comes
puts
out.
me in a bad place. I will never do another wedding episode ever again.
Don't say it. All right. Lastly, number 6 is that a micro wedding can help save in wedding attire. You can go more casual if you are doing a smaller wedding. I'm mixed on this. It might seem more like your guests could go casual. Your maybe people who are standing up in support of you could go more casual. I feel as though when I see people do smaller weddings, what they're spending on then is like a really beautiful dress, suit, tux, you name it. You don't have to. You could. Values-based wedding spending is what I'm here for. And I think when you do cut costs in certain areas, it frees up some money to spend in other areas. But also, there is more permission in a smaller wedding to go more casual, which could save you some money.
Yeah, I would agree. I bought a bridesmaid's dress in white. That was my wedding dress.
I love it.
So they make great bridesmaids dresses. So yeah, just get them in white.
Oh, well, you know what comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors.
Not just brides.
And not just white. The bill of the week.
That's right. It's time for the best minute of your entire week. Maybe a baby was born and his name is William. Maybe you paid off your mortgage. Maybe your car died and you're happy to not have to pay that bill anymore. Duck bills, Buffalo Bills, Bill Clinton. This is the bill of the week.
Hi, this is Ashley from San Diego, California, and I am binging your podcast, and I'm still so far behind your current stuff. So someday, hopefully I'll hear this message on the bill of the week. My bill of the week is my son, William, whose birthday is tomorrow. So this is in honor of him. And he goes by 1 million nicknames, which is the best part of having a son named William. He goes by William, of course, Willem, like Willem Dafoe, Bill, Will, Prince William, William the Conqueror, Wild Bill, Willy Wonka, Buffalo Bill, there you go, Slick Willie, Billy the Kid, Will I Am, Billiam, which is my personal favorite, and his newest is now Bill of the Week. That's my Bill of the Week. He's the best. Your podcast is the best. You guys have a great week.
Oh, Ashley. You beat me to it. I was gonna try and have to give birth to a William so I could call him Bill of the Week, and you beat me to it. And I'm so proud.
Ashley, I'm fist bumping over here. I am grinning from ear to ear. My face is going to fall off. I'm smiling so hard.
It literally is melting off. You guys should not see it.
You are making my day, my week, my month, even my year. This is amazing that your son's name is William. It was his birthday. Happy birthday, William,
birthday,
that you
Bill
call him
of the
all of
Week.
these things. Bill, Prince William, Buffalo Bill, Slick Willie, Billy the Kid, Billiam, Bill of the Week. You are the best Bill of the Week. I hope you had a great birthday. You are the coolest kid with a cool mom, having a cool day. Love this. Get it. If you want to get it by submitting your Bill of the Week, visit frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill to leave us your bill. Golly, they keep getting better and better and better. I don't know how to contain all of my excitement or make you feel like you should. Still submit, because apparently my excitement levels can escalate even beyond what anyone thought was possible. So if I still have a face left for you and an ability to listen to the Bill of the Week, I will do that. frugalfriendspodcast.com/bill.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson.
You might be asking yourself, what is sibling revelry?
Yeah, well, we just made it up.
They'll have some laughs and maybe inspire some people along the way with universal tales of what it's like to grow up with brothers and sisters.
We're full-blood siblings, the only full-blood sibling.
In our family. Well, not in the world. I mean...
No, in the whole world. That's just it. Like, no one...
Dive into family tales and explore the human mind with guests like Joel and Benji Madden.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up, to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
It's more than a podcast. It's a celebration of the ties that bind us. Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the studio who brought you the #1 podcast, The Piketon Massacre, this is Murder 101.
A group of high school students started a project to research a string of unsolved murders.
Those murders happened in the mid-1980s.
He's out there doing stuff. He just didn't stop.
Everything that the students predicted through their profile turned out to be accurate.
Redhead killer profile. Male, Caucasian, 5'9" to 6'2", 180 to 270 pounds. Unstable home, absent father and a domineering mother. Right-handed, IQ above 100, most likely heterosexual.
There is no profile of this killer except for the ones the students created.
Just because some of these women no longer have people to speak for them does not mean that they deserve to not be spoken for.
What if this guy's still alive? Like, what if he comes after us?
I said, are you going to kill me? And he said, yes.
Listen to Murder 101 on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Now it's time for Lightning Round.
Pew, pew, pew. So we talked about this one throughout the episode, but creative ways we specifically used to save on our personal weddings. And maybe something you did that you wouldn't do again. Jill, maybe that's something that we add in, since a lot of these things we already talked about.
Yeah.
So,
okay, you go first.
Okay. The food was out of my hands because I thought it was taken care of. So sorry to everyone in attendance for the cold spaghetti, but maybe hiring somebody more reliable in hindsight. I don't know. Who could have known? Who could have known the reliability of these people? I was thinking I would have liked a DJ because we got Uncle Anthony to be in charge of the music, and I made a playlist, but I didn't make it as good as a DJ would have made it. Like, it's just not my strength. And I should have delegated it to a professional. But that's about it. I tried, there are other things I tried. Like, I tried to get actual wine, like white wine, red wine, white Zinfandel, and conveniently those wines never made it out of the car. It was only my in-laws' wine, unmarked wine. To the extent that my friend who's allergic to strawberries tried it, and he's like, "What kind of wine is this?" Because it's unmarked, and somebody had to be like, "Strawberries," and he had to like leave.
Oh no!
So there were like things out of my control that I wish I could have changed. But I think if the money-wise thing, I think I would have maybe hired a DJ. Maybe I would have splurged there.
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to think of a helpful regret for people. Certainly thinking, you've all heard this story probably, but thinking I was going to be able to borrow my sister's wedding dress as a backup when the one I ordered from China didn't end up being what I wanted. And turns out at the end of the day, when I faced my truest of true selves, I did not want to borrow my sister's wedding dress. I wanted my own. So that was an additional cost to get a wedding dress and altered last minute, but I loved it. So I can't say that I regret it, but I think just maybe being honest about what was important and where I'm willing to cut and where I wasn't willing to cut. I do have an unpopular opinion, because that's what the lightning round is for here, that I try and encourage other people with. One of the things I am very glad we did is have a short engagement. So the unpopular opinion here is that planning a wedding, an actual wedding, only needs to take as long as it takes to plan a large party. And in no other life circumstances do we take a year to 2 years to plan a party. But we do it with engagements. I get it that there's maybe like other reasons for that. But when it comes to the wedding, I think having that shorter amount of time to plan can also save money because you're not getting as tripped up with like all of the decisions and all of the Instagram scrolling and Pinterest scrolling and opinions and asking this and asking that. You're just pulling together a party. And I think when people are able to approach it in that regard, it can also cut all of the unnecessary excess that I think does eat up a lot of the budgets and takes it from a $15,000 ordeal to a $45,000 ordeal. And it just doesn't need to be that. And just obviously looking at all the different ways that can be cut, asking friends to do various services. I think one of the things that helped us too was finding people who are just starting out in something. Like everyone's got a friend who's just starting out in photography. Get them. And we got 2 of them. So 2 people who were just starting out in the field so that there were multiple angles, multiple different types of perspectives, styles of photography. And even with extra photographers, it hardly cost us anything because they were new. They had great cameras, great equipment. They had practiced some, but this was one of their first weddings. I was willing for that. Like, I'll take the pictures that they capture. Yeah, we did vegetarian menu. So but for us, the value was I want to have a blast and I want everyone to be there. I want everyone to come. So I cut crazy in all the other areas.
Yeah. This is much more of a recommendation for people getting married in their 20s. If you are getting married in your 30s or 40s, people have a different expectation, I think, because they've been to so many weddings. And this is where I think the elopement or the micro wedding comes in so great, because I barely talked to less than 50 people from our wedding. There were about 200, 250 there. A lot of them were family. And yeah, we still don't talk to maybe 50 of them. So I think you're more refined when in the later in your life with your relationships. So I think the types of weddings that are appropriate, that are most desired, the bigger weddings that are more DIY in your 20s versus the smaller weddings that are more refined in your 30s and 40s. There is not one type for any age, but I do see that being more of a trend that, I mean, you don't have to expect If we're saying, like get your friends to do stuff for you when you're in your 40s and your friends are not about that, it doesn't have to be. You can definitely hire it out, but just know where you're going to be cutting on the guest list to get that price that you're looking for with the service that you want. But you could do anything. You just have to get creative in one area or another to make it work for you.
And that's where that values-based approach that we talk about blends flawlessly here too. Identify what's most important, your own personal context, and how you want to approach this day for yourselves, for you, the couple that's getting married, not for anyone else or to meet other people's expectations. Or to make it look Instagram worthy. Like, do the thing that you want to do. And at the end of the day, it's about getting married, not just the wedding. So that's, I think, super important to keep in mind too.
Yeah. So thank you for listening. I hope this is really helpful for you if you are engaged or about to be engaged. If you are paying off debt or want to be paying off debt once you get married, then we have a private community for people paying off debt where we do monthly money challenges and offer accountability groups. And we would like to congratulate one of our members in there for a big win. And this one's from Vanessa. And she actually learned something outside of the group that she shared with everyone. And I appreciated it. So I wanted to share it with you guys. She says, a lady in my Buy Nothing group is a huge advocate for no food waste. And she posted some pictures in the group that tell the difference between expired food and the best before date on the packaging. So she says there's 2 different dates. And Vanessa said she scored a lot of free food from the Buy Nothing group because people were giving away food past their best before dates, but not past their expired dates. And she has been fine. And she posted those pictures in our group. So thank you, Vanessa, and way to go. All your free food, and always the next wedding you're at, you ask about that catering. You ask where that catering is going to, okay?
Oh, this is so great. I love reducing food waste, and I also love getting free food, and I love when knowledge can help us to make informed decisions. There is a big difference between best before and expired. So, well done, Vanessa.
Yes. If you want to check out those pics and our other monthly challenges that we've done, head to frugalfriendspodcast.com/club. See what challenge we're doing right now and what's coming up next.
See you next time.
Frugal Friends is produced by Eric Sirianni.
Yeah, we're definitely going to a wedding this weekend. I totally forgot.
Yay.
Not this current weekend, but after this comes out.
What's your go-to wedding gift?
Cash. Everyone loves cash.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. Everyone loves cash. I love cash. Couples love cash. I know that's not the answer you're going to give, Jill. What's your favorite gift to give?
I don't know. I was thinking about, as I asked the question, I'm thinking well, what would you bring? I will check out their registry if there's anything still left on it. I do like the practical, I'll look for something on the registry that obviously is within my price range. And of course, my mind will usually go to, what are they going to engage with often? And maybe they'll think of me when they use that thing. I'm going to get them their bath towels. And then every time I go over to their house, be like, so did you think of me when you dried your hands?
That's why I get cash.
Be really weird with it.
Yeah.
No, for the wedding, the actual wedding, yeah, it's usually just money. It's all I wanted. I never registered for anything. I just asked for money.
I registered for low cost items because there were some people that refused. It's the Aunt Edna's. They want to get something. They want to wrap it. And so I registered for all these $20, $30 things. And then I returned them all to get the higher priced items that I knew Aunt Edna wouldn't buy. So the $200 things. And that was a great strategy.
I really hope you don't actually have an Aunt Edna.
I don't.
Poor thing feels real called out. But you know what? Maybe we'll change our ways.
Discover the heartwarming and hilarious world of sibling connections on Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson. Dive into family tales, explore the human mind, and laugh with guests like Joel and Benji Madden. It's more than a podcast, it's a celebration of the ties that bind us.
And it's fun because we've decided to open it up to really like all kinds of different siblings. And it's going to be an awesome season.
Listen to Sibling Revelry with Kate Hudson and Oliver Hudson on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Frances Fry.
And I'm Ann Morris.
And we are the hosts of a new TED podcast called Fixable.
We've helped leaders at some of the world's most competitive companies solve all kinds of problems.
On our show, we'll pull back the curtain and give you the type of honest, unfiltered advice we usually reserve for top executives. Give us a call and we'll help you solve the problems you're stuck on. Listen to Fixable on the iHeartRadio app, on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.